Welcome back, everyone, to Random Stalls. Coming to you today with another high-level game breakdown. Now, typically I'm looking at the arena ladder, but this time around, we're looking at the number 1 and number 2 players on the async ladder. So let's jump into it. Alright, here we are zoning into the floor is lava, everybody's favorite map. But before we actually get into the game, I do have to let everybody know that, of course, I am part of the content affiliate program. So the Phobies team does give me some stuff for producing Phobies content. Now, as I always say, I love Phobies anyway, so I'd be doing this anyway. So let's get into it. Here we have beerpiero in the blue trunks, and we'll say hopeloy. I don't know if it's hopeloy. If you're watching this, let me know how to pronounce your name. I always feel bad when I mispronounce people's names. Zoning into the orange trunk. So our blue player is jumping in with something fairly standard. Taking 2 panic points early. I tend to go into 3 panic points, or 3 1-drops, to try and spread out a little more, but we'll see what they actually do here to follow up, given that there was a bank to 4. Now, our orange player maxed out all their keys. So it actually flips. This time around, the blue player has 4 keys instead of the orange player going into turn 2. And we get what I like to see here. We actually see a honey bear. This is a level 16 honey bear, by the way. So level 16 honey bear, pretty good. Honey bear is relevant here because you can actually turn off not just the lava, but double panic points, which gives you a huge leg up in the damage race because you can mostly defend 3. It's not too difficult to defend your 3. And then Honey Bear turns off 2 of the opposing ones. So despite the Murder Wing, despite the cat, our orange player does have a fairly tall hill to climb trying to get out of this. They answer with a stabby, which is one of the more common plays on this map. One of the more common phobies that will show up. You often get standoffs, but here we do see the vomit from everyone's favorite tardigrade going down and actually locking everything down. So from there, it looks like we get a bank from our blue player and a bank from our orange player. Despite being a small map, 7,100 health, 54-55. You do get some patience out of both players. We don't even see max phobies. It's 3 phobies each. Now remember, this is async, so players have time to actually, well, more time, to actually sit and contemplate what is the appropriate counter to what's coming out. And in this case, our orange player, who now gets access to their panic points once again, elects to go with Smiley. I question the Smiley. This is, in fact, a level 19 Smiley. 577 disease damage, everybody. But Hevo 2.0 comes out from our blue player. Since both players are very high stress level, we're seeing things that are comparable. So while the damage may look super scary, remember that even though 720 damage from that meatball, this is started out at almost 3k health. This is a very tanky Hevo. And we get a Thunder Rocks as the answer, rumbling its way up into the face of Hevo 2.0. But 5 keys are in the bank for our blue player, which means that there's probably going to be something mean and nasty coming out. Is this going to die to the lava? No, almost over 750 health left, but not for much longer. 629 damage from this cassowary. Big numbers abound. Big numbers abound. So, of course, down goes the Thunder Rocks. Thunder Rocks kind of did what Thunder Rocks usually does. Truthfully, Thunder Rocks is, I don't know. I understand the potential response here, but I don't know if that is really where you want to go with it. Both the Smiley and the Thunder Rocks kind of left something to be desired. So we now have a bank up to 7 from orange, 6 on blue, but we see once again the tardigrade just vomiting all over half the board and turning off panic points. At this point, I'm not really clear how our orange player actually gets out of this. Truthfully, I'm not really sure, because this is going to require some significant effort to try and make it happen. Seeing a bunch of damage go down onto the honey bear, and then Ray Chargel's eaten up 5 of those keys that are remaining, so it's 6 keys to 5 keys remaining. Still plenty of room for our blue player to invest in other phobies. And we see a boomer. This is really interesting, especially given the... Okay, so... Wait, what? So the boomer here is just body blocking for the Hevo 2.0. This is actually kind of a cool play. I was obviously a little taken aback at first. It does prevent the Ray Chargels from just getting 2 clean hits directly onto this Hevo. It might have served our blue player better to put the smiley here to prevent something like this, but then that stops Smiley from actually connecting with anything and doing anything else, so... So, we end up ultimately removing the cat. This Inoculus is actually... I mean, this seems brutal. You could argue, oh, why send out mechanicals into the face of Ray Chargels? Well, because it's probably not going to matter. So we get Temptress as a follow-up, and then a Muffin as the final phobie. I don't know about putting the Muffin here. It has 800 health, though, so it requires 2 hits from the Hevo, meaning that you're going to have to actually invest in killing the Muffin if you want it. Is the Ray Chargels fragile enough to die here? It absolutely is. That is a dead Ray. So Ray goes down, and then it's basically... Well, it's not just Temptress because the Stabby's still alive. But speaking of Muffin, we get another one. Yeah, the Boomer's doing a great job. A great job. Yeah, I see chat pointing out about the Smiley. That's not what I meant, that it could go on enemy's turn, but... It was more that it was just next to the Smiley and risks being diseased. So this Hevo has gotten a whole bunch of heals, lasted a really long time, but is it enough? 1900 health on this Stabby. Temptress does go down. Boomer goes bye-bye. Obviously, Inoculus is going to eat it. The problem here is clearly the Smiley isn't great at capping points because it's slow, and it can't interact with the Hevo, but the Stabby does have Reflect. The Stabby does have Reflect. 4-2 panic point advantage. I don't think you can heart race here. 45-35. Yeah, and it's going to shortly be even more panic points. I like this going north because it's farther away from this Hevo. 4 turns away from the end. This was pretty cool, and there's a lot of things to pick up in this game. The Boomer play, I think, was really heads up, even though it doesn't look like it's ultimately going to work out. It demonstrates how powerful Honey Bear is, so shout out to DT, because DT is constantly championing Honey Bear. Honey Bear is super powerful, but ultimately, despite those things, it looks like our orange player's still going to take it down. They don't have the boop. I was just double checking stuff, because you're going to pop the Stabby here, but that's going to pop the Hevo. and ball game. Goes out honorably. So let's take a look at that one more time. So here we are zoning in once again. Just take a closer peek. Like, where did things really go off the rails for our blue player? Because it's commonly stated that on this map, it is super difficult to come to play as the second player. We saw a couple things that came out from our orange player that were surprising, such as the smiley, that didn't seem like they were doing a whole lot, but must have influenced our blue player just enough to be able to take the game. Because there were basically all the phobies that came out of blue player were, yeah, these seem really good on this map. They seem in good position. The phobies, although both were... trying to click on it. This might be a cool thumbnail for this as the background, just because the way the honey bears looks. But all the phobies are roughly the same level. Well, maybe not. This is level 22. 21. Okay. We may have discovered the issue, chat. Actually, no. That's only... This was level 16, 22. Well, 6 levels is pretty big. Honey bear ascending, right? So there's more of a level gap than I thought there was on some of these, but the honey bear being under-leveled isn't as big of a deal. Things like this being level 17 and this being level 21, only 4 levels, could matter. Could matter. So I'm just skipping ahead a little bit so we can see as this progresses. At this point, I would have thought between the honey bear and the Hevo ignoring the smiley, which is, what, level 19... This is a level 17 Hevo, that it would have been fine. But instead, this Hevo really does take a pounding here. Like, just gets absolutely clobbered. That being said, as we saw as we were watching it the first time around, able to retreat, it ends up getting heals throughout the game. But at this point, what are we looking at? It's cassowary and, well, we'll wait for the turn to end. It's 4 keys for 3. Our orange player is actually ahead. Yeah, the stabby, it's a level 22 stabby. As I mentioned just a moment ago, that is a big deal. That's a big deal. This thing, where is it? There we go. 2,300 health and over 600 damage a hit. More damage than Hevo, which I think is to be expected, but nearly as much health. Like, yes, it's a 600 health difference. It's also a 4 key difference. Like, levels may have had an impact here. It may have played in a bit. Because each of these meatballs, like even the meatball, level 21, 720, and like that's just a huge chunk. You can only heal so much. I like the plays from our blue player. I think they made some really strong plays. I think the honey bear is a great idea, and I think that's going to probably become my opener, 1-1 into honey bear, because I think that's pretty strong. I absolutely want to try that out. And that's the thing, when we're breaking down these games and we're watching these games, it's not necessarily, oh, well, orange player beat blue player, so we want to go with orange player strategies. No, it may not work for your collection. It may not work at your level, your stress level, your level on the ladder, stuff like that. So you pick up ideas and strategies from each player, and that's the whole point of going through these games and trying to break them down. Clear? I am super see-through, super transparent tonight. I don't know what's going on with the lights, but despite all of that, we're of course talking about what I bring up on pretty much every stream, because we are getting closer to the elections in the United States at the end of this year. If you're not registered to vote, make sure you get registered. Once you are registered, or if you're already registered, make sure you show up and vote. Voting is crucial. Make sure that before you vote, you look up who the candidates are, who's up for federal election, who's up for state election, who's up for local election, who's up for the dog catcher. It doesn't matter. Make sure that you show up with knowledge. You are prepared. Don't just be checking boxes. Make sure that you go see what the candidates stand for, what they represent, and what they intend to do when they actually get into office. And it's going to take some homework. It's going to take some effort. That's the fact of the matter, that democracy requires an invested citizenry. You must be an involved citizen. Show up to board meetings at local elections or local events. Show up and listen to candidates speak. Watch them speak. If you don't have the opportunity, pretty much all of them put it online now. You can go to their websites. You can read about them. What are they saying? What have they voted for? The records are going to be public. Learn about them, because these are the people, and we've talked about this on the stream before, these are the people that are going to be put into power, and it's their job to make decisions on behalf of all of us. So we need to be very cognizant of who we are choosing and putting into power, because otherwise we risk putting Republicans into power who right now are hell-bent on destroying the United States of America. Its very foundations, and tearing apart everything that this country is supposed to stand for. The fact of the matter is that many of them are, probably all of them are just straight up lunatics. As mentioned, they're hell-bent on destroying America and replacing it with a theocratic dictatorship. I don't think I really need to explain why that would be bad. Now, beyond that, make sure that you're also looking into charities. It could be local charities, whether it's a food bank, it's a homeless shelter, it could be national charities, it could be an international charity, because man-made and natural disasters, of course, are always going to be with us. It's just a fact of life. And as a result, until we live in a utopia where we're able to provide everyone everything they need at all times, and the governments properly step in and really support their citizens, we can't just leave people to be completely unable to help themselves and just completely fend for themselves. So pitch in where you can, help out who you can, however you can. It could be time, it could be money, it could be other goods, something. There has to be a way that you're able to improve the lives of those around you. And that's the bottom line. I think this one was definitely insightful. We actually got to see some phobies such as Temptress that don't commonly show up. Granted, Temptress didn't do a ton. But I think this was well played by both players. Yes, you can say, oh, well, orange player was up on levels. Like, this is a level 20 Temptress. This is a level 20 Muffin, for heaven's sake. But at the same time, we've all seen and probably played games where the player with the higher level, including me, has lost. Because you need to play within the bounds of your collection. If you have the level advantage, don't just throw stuff away because you have a level advantage. You need to actually leverage it. And in the end, the Muffin Wars went to orange player. But GG, well played, both players. So I think that's going to do it for this particular breakdown, everybody. Definitely some cool things, and I have multiple takeaways that I'm going to be thinking about when I'm playing my own games on the Floor is Lava. But if you want to see some live Phobies action, come by the live stream RTChompGG, or hit up the Random Thoughts Discord. The links for both will be in the description. And as always, of course, the likes and subscribes on YouTube definitely help. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. But that'll do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And Black Lives Matter.